Hello guys and welcome back to my channel. It is your boy Prince of What Is back here with the fourth part of What If Asta Aokiji's powers breaking the ice. Yeah, I know, horrible joke, but it's gonna make more sense as you watch this. For context, this is going to get really sad, like extremely. I'm gonna dive into some trauma stuff, much like the Gojo What If, but a little bit more. I'm gonna explore it in a much more that's what I think is nuance, because it's hard to describe trauma when you haven't experienced it, or like me, you haven't actually experienced it, or has someone experienced it that's close to you. But yeah, things about to get sad, man. But yeah, like I said, also if you saw my community post, this is not like close to the end. I know I've been ending my Black Clover series very short. Now I'm going to the manga for this one. We're going to Lucius, because fuck that nigga. Alright, let's begin with a recap. We began with Asta being awoken and told by Yami that the terrorists escaped. He and Yami then went to the capital where a traitor is found. Afterwards, the mission to the water temple is begun. After some training, Noel takes everyone down there. They meet the priest and play a game, which they win. Noel and Asta, of course, stole Mikahono and met her later in the festival after. But before that, Asta, Noel, and Fernro head to the witch's forest. That was before the festival came. And Vanessa, who came there, said she was going to ask for some help to get stronger because she didn't want to burden Asta anymore. The Diamond Kingdom attacks at that moment, as does the Eye of the Midnight Sun, but Asta destroys most of them alone. And after that, he also cleaves Riot to death, but couldn't finish off Fauna, who regained her own being after seeing Mars and Lajos, lover and friend. Asta also gets the stone from the queen, who tells Vanessa what her next step is, so later Asta helps her train and get the Cat of Fate. At the festival later, Asta is then put as the reason why the Black Bulls are now the strongest squad, having the most stars. Nobles were cranky, they're gonna be nobles, but Asta was tired from doing all-nighters and shuts them up along with Libe. Now we're gonna begin from there. You know, aside from being sleep deprived, this isn't half bad, Asta said. Stop trying to sound cold, said. Alright, now that we cleared that up, yells Julius, let's move on to other squads, shall we? He announces the squads in this order. The third place is the Silver Eagles, fourth place is the Blue Rose, fifth place is the Crimson Lions, sixth place is the Green Mantis, seventh place is the Coral Peacocks, eighth place is the Purple Orchis, and ninth place is the Aqua Deer. We're last? How? Yells Real as he clings onto Asta, who starts to walk off, saying he just worked hard. And look where it left me, huh? Funny. As Real looks up, he is scared by the haggard expression on Asta's face, and lets go, as will then join Asta, saying that he was cheering for Real. So, you're gonna stay and enjoy the festival, ass? I actually have somewhere to go. Maybe he's gonna show me something. Wait, right now? With a nod, Asta would then take to the skies, as notices he's not using a trail of ice anymore. He says, Mana Zone. Yep. Can do that too, Bell said. Whatever, let's go, Asta, Libe said. With a nod, he and Asta then go off, as some people see him and cheer as he passes over the kingdom, but he just wanted to go about his way. As he flies away from the kingdom, he ups his speed and focuses as observation haki is activated, allowing him to not only see mana in the air, but he is tied to another source of his own mana, and he soon comes to a land of Winterland. Land of Winter, my bad. Constantly pulsing with mana. This is mine? I did this? Pretty crazy, right? Come on. Asta walked forward into the infamous Grand Zone of Frost, which exists in this world. Think of it like Vegapunk, the island of, what I'm talking about, but it's only Frost. And the one who made this, despite only being a child at the time, was Asta, which was more of a shock. But then a bigger shock came when he came to see where he had kept his mother all this time, and he says, she's beautiful. The statue containing his mother at its head would then shatter, dropping her, as Asta would then run to and catch Lichita, who would then open her eyes. Asta? Even Libe was shocked, as Lichita would then hold out her arms and grab onto her boys' faces with a smile, saying, hey, don't cry. The two boys couldn't help but do so, however, as it feels like only yesterday when they were ripped away from each other mercilessly, and Asta would then sit her up properly, but her chest begins to gash with blood. No, the wound is still there. Asta, no, don't. The dead should stay dead, she said. But you're alive, Asta yells. Only because your magic's been keeping my wounds dormant. Doesn't your mom look way too young, sweetie? Realizing what she meant by this, the boys realized that it was a time limit that Asta put on her by cryogenically freezing her. And Lichita says that it's okay. Talk to me. What's going on? You made friends, right? Yeah, we're on a Magic Night Squad. We have tons of friends. I have another brother now. A bunch of brothers and sisters at the orphanage. Lichita would then scrunch up, being reminded of what her death has put her boys through. And Libby would then say, there's this Magne idiot that always gets me mad, but he's not that bad. That's good. That's good. Her blood begins to run cold, and Asta can feel it as he holds her tight, and he would let go from his unearned guilt as he shatters the entire Grand Zone of mana that he had constructed. The two could only stay by her side, telling stories until she finally lost, well, her life. And even then, she wouldn't stop smiling because she didn't want to curse her boys' souls with a dreadful, sad look. Asta slowly would stand with her in his arms, saying, "I'm going back to Hodge." Libby with a nod would then go back to his grimoire as Asta would then sniff and fly off, trying to hold back his tears. But he says, "This isn't fair. Damn it! This isn't fair!" His magic begins to build up as his first incident mirrors what, kind of is happening now. His current emotional state starts to break, but worse because he's now able to fully understand everything. His magic begins to explode with incredible force, but this time his conqueror spirit begins to be unleashed, and inside him, Libby was raging as well. And two brothers were so synchronized and yet chose to try to hide their anger even though they were letting it off. The skies darken and begin to part as a massive shockwave that occurs, only for all this energy then be brought back inside Asta, who says, "No, we need to move on." "For Mom," said Liebe, "we'll be stuck in this constant cycle." Asta would then fly off as lightning begins to strike with rain pouring down. We would cut to Hodge. A knock is then heard at the door, and Orsi would then open up the door to be left shocked to see Asta. "I need to bury her," he said. The kids and Sister Lily would then stand and run over, and they would see the jury looking Asta, and they were really concerned. Nash would then ask who this person he was holding was, and Asta said that it was his mother, leaving them completely shocked. "Kids, go back inside," said Sister Lily. But running up to Asta, the kids would just hug him, saying that they're not going to let him go anywhere alone. They don't want to let him go through this alone. And Orsi said, "Well, if you get sick tomorrow, you can only blame yourselves." As night passes, Asta would bury his mother, and when it's clear skies, the next day after some sleep, even though it was really hard to sleep, he walks back to her grave in a secluded area. This would be the same area that the original Asta would have spent time training, like in the anime, but this current Asta used to sleep there all the time. He holds his hand forward and forms a flower of ice. It's a lily, which is his mom's favorite. He remembers it, and he lays it down. Sleep. The kids at this point would then run out and would sit beside him, as Asta would notice that, well, they're obviously trying to care, but the kids also noticed that Asta's eyes has never looked more dead. Asta looks lazy most of the time, but this was new for them to see him like this. She's super pretty," Asta early said. With a smile, Asta would then say he knows. "I'm not sad. You guys can go back, okay? We're not going anywhere. You know it's not even here. We're not leaving you alone," said Nash. They all huff and nod, and Asta, seeing a little horror, the youngest of them, run out, put a shiny little rock over there, but kind of chuckle a little bit, and he runs back. But then two more gifts are put at the grave of Asta, then seeing Sister Lily and Orsi take a seat beside them. "You don't mind, do you?" said Sister Lily. "Don't even think of keeping all this to yourself, alright? You're way too young to look this dreary," Orsi said. "Thank you. I really don't want to be alone. It hurts. It hurts so much." As he tries to hold back his tears, they come out with everyone giving him a hug so he could fully get all his feelings out. He didn't even get to say everything he wanted to say to his mother, and now his heart honestly kind of yearned for a lot of revenge. Time skip. We open up on the Coliseum for the Royal Knights exam to see Asta sitting by himself while gathered mages from other squads stay wary of him. His aura seemed nearly murderous, and as if he was going to get actually serious, so everyone felt like they had to pull out all the stops. Meanwhile, Klaus and Mimosa are told by Yuno about Asta's situation. "What? That's horrible," Klaus said. Clenching his fist, Yuno would be left anger for not being there for Asta, and Belle had never seen him so mad. "I should have followed him. Damn it, I should have." "Don't blame yourself," Mimosa says. "Asta just needs a lot of time to process this, but he wouldn't want you to blame yourself." The Black Bulls are going through the same thing with the news. They're just happy Asta told them, but it feels like a wall has been put between them now. And as more people gather, Julius will then arrive, as does Xerxes in the same fashion, and he earns everyone's ire. And upon teams being made, Mimosa will then run to Asta, with Xerxes then following behind and walking over, and he'd be thinking, "This monstrous bastard, it's like he's trying to hold it all back, but the mana is still overwhelming." Asta would then stand upon being told by Mimosa the situation, and with the crack of his neck, he's then seen walk out by Julius, but he notices that Asta seems ready to almost kill today. The king will then make an entrance and then explain the rules, as everyone will then go to the main fighting area via portal, and upon arriving, the matches are made with Asta's team being the first up against Team A, as they are Team B. "Alright then," said Julius, "let the first round begin." Already, Asta starts to walk forward from the crystal, and Xerxes would say, "Hey, genius, I gotta learn about your magic. This is a test, right? Day mark, whatever." An immense amount of bloodlust, however, then releases as it can be felt from in the form of hockey, as Asta with that scream claws forward, releasing a flash freezing wave in the blink of an eye as he covers the entire area with ice and shatters the other team's crystal, and everyone is just left wide-eyed as they cannot believe what they're seeing. I really hope we don't fight him. Does he seem unhinged to you somehow? He's just terrifying, honestly. But what's up with that commoner? He's way too strong, yells the king. That's the child possessing 2 grimoires, sir, said Owen. Upon hearing this, the king is surprised, but also not at the same time, because 2 grimoires, OP, and just announced that Asta's team is the winner, but he also says that he seems disturbed. Man, seeing Asta like that is kind of scary, said Luck. I do not want to fight him right now. Agree, said Leopold. All the ice is then shattered by Asta freeing the men, the other team, who were then left out cold, while Team B would then walk off, and Xerxes completely just baffled. Mimosa would then run ahead, asking Asta if he didn't expend too much mana, hurt himself, and he says that he was fine. Owen would then move in with some mages and take away the other team with the help of Julius, and as Asta returns, everyone is a bit put off and by this weird feeling, as though they were standing before a beast, but walking past Asta says, beat that. Was surprised. He turns back to see a smiling Asta, who says, what, you surprised? Lunging at him, would then hug Asta, who freaks out, asking what the hell is wrong with them, and the bulls then join in as well. Stop being so misleading, goddammit, yells Magna. How is that my fault, G? I was just tired, you know that, right? As they let him go, Noel would then say that's kind of hard to tell. I don't even know how to really talk to you right now. Then don't. Show me how serious you are. I heard you got some super awesome training or something. Okay, yeah, I made a new move. It'll knock your socks off. I as well, said Leopold. And they all feel that murderous air disappear almost instantly. But Asta still carries the trauma. But his mom told him to not ignore the people in his life. He's not going to besmirch her last, request. So, Team D would then face Team C as the team consisting of Magna, Kirsch, and Soul would win. Team F would face Team E, and Team E consists of Finral, Leopold, and Haman. Team G would face Team H. Team H wins. The next match has Real, who participates, and the other team is going against him. They want to make a name for themselves, even though he is OP, but they find out that he is why he's a captain. But they don't really mind him taking part, because if they win somehow, they're just going to make a name for themselves. But he destroyed the team, and yeah. Alright. Luck's team fights and wins, and the next match has Noel, and Honor Guard fighting Elidora, Solid, another mage from the Crimson Line, let's say. And in this match, Noel would only not beat Solid, but do it with a massive attack, bigger than the original, while easily still beats Elidora without needing to even involve Bell in any form. Their team wins and moves on, as Noel is cheered down by Asta, but honestly, no magic attack is compared to his, not even real, so yeah. The stage is then changed with some new structures rising from the ground as Team B and C get on it, standing beside the crystals far away from each other, and Xerxes thought, alright, finally, facing a noble. He would then say that they should actually use some teamwork this time, and Asta would say sure, which is surprising to him because he seems a little bit cold until this moment. And Asta would then say, Mimosa, you stay and protect the crystal. I'll go forward and push them into Xerxes' traps. This takes Xerxes by surprise as he asks how Asta knew, and pointing forward, he says that his second magic allows him to see mana almost to a subatomic level. And the magic traps are tied to you. Almost like a proud mom, Mimosa would then huff and say she expected no less, with Xerxes saying, stop being so proud, you didn't do anything. Alright then, genius. Let's work together. When Julius has to go, Kirsch is the first to make a move. He floods the field with Sakura that begin to turn into clones, encircling them. But Asta would then step up with his hockey magic grimoire flying out as he grabs a hold of a sword from it, and with one move he unsheathes the blade and swings, releasing a black slash that blows away everything as Kirsch is left shot by the power in this attack. Meanwhile, Soul creates a giant golem which receives the attack, while Magna would grab the hold of Crystal and run off. The golem is then ripped apart, sending Soul flying along with it, and she would slam into a rock formation and is left unconscious. That was not beautiful, Kirsch said, but as Asta then appears before him, grabbing him by the head and slamming it to the ground as he would activate a trap that then detonates behind his head. Pretty painful. Magna meanwhile would then run, and he stepped on a trap himself as he was overwhelmed by explosions, as Xerxes would then begin to walk forward, saying, that bastard took the noble. I guess I get. In the blink of an eye, he's then punched in the face by a manic Magna, who holds the crystal tight, yelling, you're gonna have to rip this off me, you bastard. Xerxes is kind of rocked, he's bleeding at the nose, and Magna creates and bats over a fireball, but upon it hitting Xerxes, it is absorbed by his magic as he smiles, and the attack is reflected back tenfold, not only damaging Magna, but severely, making them lose because the crystal shattered. Damn, you pack a wall up, said Xerxes. As Magna hits the floor, he is damaged, but he kept smiling, just as Asta would then walk up and, give him a hand, saying, I'm glad I'm not on the receiving end of that punch. Grabbing his hand, Magna would then get up, saying, damn right. Oh, Jesus, that burns. Group of guys, Mimosa would yell, and the other matches then put up. This match would be Finral's team versus Langris's, and Asta is actually taking a little break for his mind right now in Omen's medical ward nearby, and the scene of Lichita dying, his arms replays in his mind over and over. This only happened a few days ago. This is basically PTSD, but of course he still needs a little break, you know, for his mental state. But this is when you know where to run in, saying, Asta, Finral, he's what? Asta asks. As he sits up, his observation Aokiji finally senses it as he looks out the window, and we zoom in to see Finral riddled with holes from Langris's magic. Instantly on the battlefield appears Asta before Langris, who was going to swing with his magic, only to see his hand was now mangled. Huh? When did... Gah! Holding his arm in pain, Langris screams right as he's then grabbed by the face and shut up. And looking forward, he saw a version of Asta, not even conceivable, a complete monster filled with only rage. He's gonna kill him. Asta, stop! Getting down there instantly, everyone in the Black Bulls goes and tries to pull him back, including Klaus, Yuno, and Mimosa. What is it with you bastards? Think you can take whatever it is you want from me? Huh? Langris didn't even know how to speak in this moment. He was too terrified, but Mimosa then took priority and tried to heal Langris, just as Julius then arrived with Owen, and then he went on and put a magic orb around Asta, allowing everyone to let him go. Asta, Finral was alive, said Julius. These words would snap Asta out of his trance, right as he releases a built-up amount of hockey that would break the orb, releasing him. And the wave would then reach even the king, who we left crying in fear because he's a pussy, and all the nobles and mages present are just silent. Looking back, Asta then saw Finral being healed and was happy, but what he saw around was the fear from his loved ones, not at him, but for him. And he could only say one thing: I would like to drop out the competition, please. Yes, I did not take into account your mental state. I will escort you. He would then lead Asta away. Julius would lead Asta away while he looked back to Finral and simply hoped that he wouldn't be too badly hurt. The hell did that bastard say? Zeus would yell from the spectators area because this basically means that they lose, and Lupo would then say, don't. You don't know what's going on, so don't. And why don't you tell me? He lost his mother about a week ago. He had to watch her die in his arms. This news comes as a shock to those that hear it, with Will then asking if he's being serious, and Lupo then nods, saying, it's not my truth to divulge, but Asta isn't unhinged. He's in pain. I want all of you to know that. He always seems so strong. I guess we just never wondered, huh? I feel kind of bad now. Going through something like that? That kid is strong. It felt like a bad taste in everyone's mouth because they were kind of bad-mouthing him, but going through what he did at his age would hurt anyone. Asta, as he walked off to the back through the portal to the back of the Colosseum, he apologized to Julius, who then asked, what happened? Lieb at that moment would inform, saying, a devil happened. These words take the king by surprise. Lieb would then say that the day their mother died, Asta as a child kept her from dying by creating the Grand Mana Zone of Frost, and he himself is a result of Asta trying to keep at least one of them alive. I became a spirit, but she clearly didn't survive. You've done enough, Julius says, but you're not done yet. I believe you'll find another anchor, Asta. You just need to remember why you became a knight. With these words, Julius would then go the other way, back to the fighting, thinking, I know you'll manage, so it's time for me to do my part. And we're gonna time skip one day. Outside Asta's door at the Black Bull base is Gordon, who would then knock, saying, Asta, it's lunchtime. You have something before you go to sleep, right? He gets no response. With him then taking a moment, he doesn't really know what to say, as people barely hear him speak, since he whispers so much, and he doesn't know how to comfort his kohai. Doesn't even know that, he doesn't know that if Asta actually heard him anyway. But then he says, when I joined the Bulls, I thought I wouldn't fit in. I didn't for a while, but then they didn't care if I had trouble speaking. But you're the one who ever actually hears me. Asta, I can't tell you how to get over this, because it's not easy. But you're not alone. It's not about why. It's about how. In what sense? I don't need to tell you why we're not giving up on you. When you're ready, come down. He begins to then stammer and walks back until he reaches the living room. But unlike the usual Black Bulls, these guys, they're really quiet. But that quiet is then broken by Mereoleona, who then punch Luck into a wall upon entering, and she would then yell, the hell are you maggots doing? We're just trying to stay near Asta. Jeez, said Magna. Well, okay then, you can stay. You two are coming with me. Her fireballs then grab a hold of Noel and Luck, as she says, if you want to cheer up the poor little bastard, then do something, so we can take it easy for once. You're being nice, Ayami. I don't buy it. Cram your hole or do it for you. Anyway, let's go. She would then make her way out, but says that staying around here isn't going to help, and they need to do something because they are still magic knights. She then leaves, and everyone looks at each other and nods as they stand and start making their way out. Let's carry the burden together, they thought. They then ask Yami if he's going to go anywhere, but he just death stares them, and they go off, with Yami then taking a puff from his cigarette. It's you, me, and Henry for now, kid, he thought. Hours then pass, and Yami doesn't even move. But Asta himself moves as he runs down the stairs, grabs Yami, and drags him away as he asks what the hell is going on. As he blasts past their doors, Asta would then take to the sky, seeing that the capital was under attack. Speed up, Yami said. On it. With an increase of speed, Asta would then near the capital very fast, when he would then see a massive light spell put over the entire kingdom and about to rain down light spears. But then Julius's magic is seen reversing it and thus putting out all the light attacks, and he then sighs. He's just really glad. Julius is really glad. But then Lig blitzes him with a blade of light, only for it to then be shattered, as Asta would then kick him away as he appears, and he and Yami then land before Julius. You good, asked Yami? Yeah, never better. As Lig stepped back, he's then cut on the cheek, a delayed cut, and he then shows a nervous laugh, as Yami would then notice that this must be Vengeance. Even his master is nearby, and he's literally wearing Vengeance's clothes. What the hell do you think you're doing? As he unsheathes his blade, the man looks at him, asking what the hell Vengeance is doing, but Lig says that Vengeance wasn't here right now, as he then falls through a portal before they can make any moves, and Julius would then check himself before saying, the stones, the remaining ones, he took them. Putting away his Demon Slayer, Asta would then say he must have realized that Asta was coming, so he took his chance to steal instead of just killing. And the voice of Marsh is then heard at this moment from another building beside them, and he asks if they're okay, and Julius would then say that they're fine. But at that very moment, an explosion of light then goes off from very far, and all of the scary citizens notice, as does every other mage, and then some are enveloped by that light. Libya from inside the grimoire would then form out, and he would then say that something is really, really bizarre, like something is happening. And as those lights go dim, great explosions of mana go off, as everyone from the building that Marsh is in is hit by an explosion. As the assistant falls to the floor, he then looks forward to see a fellow mage that was approaching him, but he was bursting with golden mana, had markings all over his face. Filthy human, said the man. What? Said Marsh. We're both Clover Kingdom mages. The now elf-possessed man, however, prepares to detonate another explosion with his magic, when a huge wave of mana is then released. He begins to foam at the mouth and gets knocked out, and all the elves that have possessed humans fall over completely, losing consciousness before they can do any damage, with Yami and Julius now seeing a different Asta, one that had attained 50% of his spirit dive. No more. I'm tired of this. Something about him has changed, Yami thought, as Asta would then look at them, and he lands from flight as he bows, saying, Sir, could I be allowed to go help on the expedition at the Gravito Belt? As he stands, his eyes now showed resolve. Even his way of talking had changed, and the resolve Julius had been waiting for was finally here, and he said, Good luck. In the blink of an eye, Asta disappears. The citizens in the kingdom would see what they could only describe as a black meteor right above, and already Julius gathers the mages who still have their own ego, their own consciousness, and he makes them help clean up, including help from other captains, like Yami, of course. And the reason why Julius was so sure about letting Asta go wasn't because he just asked. To pull off any spell like what Asta just did, like he did with his ice not long ago, requires a clear mind, and intent so specific that the spell that he casted actually felt impossible even to this day. That precision has returned because only the possessed humans specifically lost consciousness in their area. Now, coming to crash into the Gravito Belt, Asta would then stare down a three-headed beast created by possessed Rill, with Raya flung at his side, and Merliona would be behind him in this wide corridor. I thought I killed you, Asta asked. I'm not gonna stop coming back. And I got a new power-up, said Raya. This is the human? This is the one who attacked you? Rill yells as he then releases his beast. One of them fires at they fire their own element with incredible power, but all Merlina does is smile as the possessed Rill's confident look then turns to one of horror as he's frozen along with his, creatures, and he's frozen to the neck as Asta is before him with his icy grip near his face. Even in this state, I can't keep up with them, Raya thought. As the possessed Rill shakes at the power of the young man, Asta will release the Conqueror Spirit and knock him out before shattering the ice all around him and shattering the creatures, but he didn't shatter Rill. And as he falls, he would then land and catch the little possessed man. But then behind him, then comes Raya, tries to sneak attack him, only for two black shields made of hockey to form and knock him back as he strikes. Asta would then stand and swing through them while pointing his blade to the elf's neck. And the shields would dissipate as Raya is left on the ground shivering, but Asta would pull back his blade and he gains realization. He smiles. Don't tell me you're gonna lose it again, Merlina asked. No, I'm good. I'm so sorry. This completely takes us by surprise, as Asta would say the observation has advanced a little bit, and the feelings that he's actually feeling from Raya right now, far from being fake, petty, or about just killing people, they match that of a loved one being lost. You're just like me, he said. Raya can almost believe the child, and this shift is bizarre, but In a way, it seems that Asta has been experiencing some grief himself. But then three elves would then barge in from above, and one of them would attack, but then Asta looks at them as he releases the King's Descent or Conqueror's Haki and knocks them out. He is then grabbed by Raya from behind, who begins to fall into a portal saying, if he feels so apologetic, then come with me. Come into a real leader. Asta and Merlina do not exchange words, however. Merlina knows Asta can handle himself, and the same goes for him. He believes the same for her. And as when he's pulled through, Merlina will then say, he found a balance. Now, as Asta falls into a new place, however, he sees Juno battling it out with Licht along with a possessed Klaus and Haman. He is then knocked back as Asta will then catch him with both of them saying, whoa, what happened to you? His spirit magic has become more intensified, thought Juno. He's using the power of the elves against them, thought Asta. As expected of my rival, they both thought, with Asta then letting down Juno as Klaus and Haman would then release massive lances from their fortress made of combined magic. But thrusting forward, Asta blow everything away to nothing and destroy the fortress as the magic would then internally damage the elves, sending them flying. Juno then blitzes and swings his sword down at Licht with his sort of Zephyr, but Raya would then appear blocking it, just as Asta would then yell, show your true self! His Haki would then reach into the depths of Licht, and he's then stunned and brought back, as Juno was then pushed back, and Raya would then ask Licht what's wrong. His leader would then shake his head in pain before asking, Raya, what are you doing? What do you mean, we're taking our revenge? No, they're not our enemy. Ding, ding, ding. Hearing this voice, they all look down to see an elf as he puts a pendant into a spot on the ritual rock. Juno would then look down, seeing his pendant is missing, the one with the stone in it. Licht at the speed of light then quickly moves as the elf would then speak, saying, stop. Licht is frozen in pain as he just winces, like he's actually feel like he's being crushed, and everyone else freezes as well. Right as a murky aura then begins to leak from the elf, and using the combination of the stones and everything being set up here, this murky aura will be allowed to reform into something new as Asta becomes wide-eyed and enraged, with him then breaking out of this little spell and appearing behind Zyger in a flash, and the devil was then shocked as his chest explodes with blood. He hurt him, Licht thought. Turning to face the human, Zyger would then ask, what the hell are you? I know you're not him, you're nothing compared to him, but you're one of them. A devil, said Asta. That means I gotta exterminate you. His demon dweller would then gain even more definition and size, and Zyger, as he returns, is quickly forced to use his magic against an impotent human as he yells, plummet. However, as the pressure nears Asta from his soul magic, he blows past it like nothing and thrusts forward, not only completely blown away, but also shredding the creature's heart to bits, and Licht is completely just shocked. He beat a devil? What talent? Asta then comes to a stop as he be heaving and like trying to catch his breath, and his demon slayer would then return to its normal size with him dropping it, and Libe exits his body. You okay? Yeah. You, said Asta. You need to talk to your people. I know we probably did something unforgivable to you, but you don't have to say anything, said Licht. That devil you just killed, he is the cause of our suffering. Hearing this, Raya is left shocked as he asks if this is true, and Licht will then turn back nodding. I'm just glad I made it in time. Now I just need to set things straight. Pointing his blade to the sky, the elf leader would then start to draw the souls of the elves to it, but also adding onto his power, Asta and Juno place a hand on his back, and they create an ice spirit tree, illuminated from inside by light and surrounded by ice and also surrounded by wind. And the elf souls relay the information from Licht from his mind, and upon even drawing near the place, they realize that they have been led astray the entire time. They've been manipulated, and upon learning the truth, Paltry's mind is left completely baffled as he be somewhere in the area. So he leaves Vanessa's body, but as he sees his friends say goodbye for the last time, his guilt just couldn't let him leave. He darted and dashed elsewhere until he entered the lab of Sally, and there was a body made for him, which he entered and fell to the floor. And as he stands, he would then clench his fist, feeling this new body. I can't leave. After everything I put vengeance to everything I did. Oh my god. He fell to the floor, scrunched up, thinking that he had to pay back in some way, and this was the bare minimum. What happens next is actually pretty okay, as Fagulin would then wake up with the salamander spirit being part of him now, and he joins the captains in cleaning up, and the elves are gone, and this means that no humans that have been possessed are left. There is not actually that much damage. Sekiro herself actually went to Lumire's statue, reanimated him, so she could just say that everything was okay, and the elves went off peacefully. Sadly, Valtus and Radius were saved by Radius' magic and were looking for revenge. I later found out the fate of Raya, Fauna, Paltry, Veto too, and they were content that they were not allowed to move on, because after everything they did, hell nah, they just brought the elves over here, but they've been doing this shit. The relationship was non-existent at this point. They felt used, and they were literally sacrificial ornaments. They would have died if not for Radius' magic. We will now open up on Lumiere sitting atop the skull with Sekre now in her human form. And he would say, really? In one shot, no less. Jeez, that kind of existence is hard to come by. He seems to have a connection with devils. It's not nefarious, said Sekre, but they've taken someone very important from him. Then it's best you don't leave his side. I mean, I don't have much time left. Stay with me? Of course, said Sekre, and she was kind of sad she couldn't bring him back for real, so the least she could do was honor his wish. Time then passes, and at Hodge, Sister Lily will be flipping through some pages of a newspaper when she comes across something, and it brings a smile to her face as she calls over the kids. As they come, they look at the news and would see Asta being celebrated as the hero of the Clover Kingdom. They really got his good side too, said Rekka. Yeah, and he looks a little bit more sure of himself, Lily thought. We will now cut to the Black Bulls as we find Asta essentially hugging and essentially strangling Gordon, saying, thank you so much, senpai. And embarrassed Gordon would then try to get away while Asta's grip was strengthened, leaving everyone laughing. I guess this is what you get, said Magna. All I did was speak from the heart. Calm down, Asta. I'm not as physically up. Oh god. Something snaps with a panicking Asta bawling his eyes out and yelling for help as Charmy would then run over with some healing food while Asta would kowtow apologizing, but as he sat up, Gordon would say it was okay. I'm just glad you're back to yourself, you know. Yami at this point, however, breaks the moment and grabs Asta as he drags him out, saying, we got work to do. Captain, you're so harsh, everyone said. Meanwhile, Ghost would be looking at a picture of Marie because he don't really give a damn. He's happy for Asta, but you know. However, Asta, as he is dragged out, he feels Yami stop and turns to see Zora Ideal, not calling him Zerks anymore. And he would ask, what are you doing here? Can't you see the real shrimp? I'm a black bull. The other Black Bulls from hearing this inside are shocked with them asking Yami when he was planning on telling him this. However, he just walks past Zora and begins to run off. He's avoiding conversation to that degree, they all think. As Yami runs to the forest, however, he would then tell Asta, you'll like him. Of course I will, he's a Black Bull. So taking Asta to Julius, Yami would be there with Vengeance, who was in pardon since he didn't exactly have much of a choice in being taken over, and there wasn't much. Actually, there was a lot of dead people, but still. And the king wanted Asta to elaborate on his story about the devil that killed his mother, even though it would be sad. And the captains, upon hearing this information, are left saddened, as no child should have to go through such a thing at such a young age. I would like for you to do everything you can to discover what you can about curses, the appearance of that creature you said you killed. My time magic is telling me that he's not the last of them. You mean the kingdom can be flooded by more of those bastards? Asta yells. Yes, but you can stop it. Well, it is your duty, after all. Putting their hands to their chest, the three will then say, of course, and we will now have a little more time skip. Yami speaks to Charlotte about curses, Noel asks Dorothy, and Asta goes to Gordon and then his home. And this is when they learn about a massive curse in the Heart Kingdom and decide to go over there. Asta brings along Fernro and Zerks with Noel deciding to stay so that she can get stronger. Mimosa is most familiar with the place, so she's brought along as well. And as they sail on a boat closer and closer to the kingdom, Zerks would say, so this is the Heart Kingdom. Take me back. You can't just go back, you moron, Fernro yells. You have spatial magic, and you chose to come with us. As they stare daggers at each other, Asta is looking around just sightseeing and being amazed as most of them comes beside him saying, beautiful, right? Yeah, it's hard to believe this place is in trouble. I assure you it's true. Hearing this voice, the four would then turn to see Gaja, who introduces himself as the Spirit Guardian. Mimosa recognizes him and her as he offers them up a beverage to welcome them fully, and while they drink, they come across some citizens and are elevated towards the castle. They say hi to them and they go via a water staircase, and this is when Gaja said, as I said, we may not last in this peace much longer. We will need something very, very powerful. In that instant, Asta is enveloped by water and hoisted away, with the three being surprised but not really worried because it's Asta. However, an angry Fernro then asks what the hell they're doing. Asta, meanwhile, is then dropped into a massive crevice and sits up, still drinking what Gaja gave him, and he would say, this is so good. Ooh, it's a knight. Walking up to him would be a knight made of water magic, as he would then stand and check it out just to look at it, when he's then swung at violently, only for Lebe to then form and use the demon slayer to cut the thing in half, releasing a massive shockwave. He then grabs Asta by the face, asking him to take this more seriously, and Asta apologized when he then hears the voice of someone else. The person says, welcome. The two eyes glimmer with red as they turn to see a silhouette covered by a mist not far from them, and the silhouette then releases a wave of water that takes the form of Undine, a giant water spirit. Hello, I'm Undine, one of the 4 great spirits. Water would flood the entire area, wetting Asta's clothes, making him fly up as he asks what this is all about. You really do have 2 grimoires. That spirit, said Undine. You got a problem with me, Liebe said. In the twist, the big brother then explodes with more magic and then turns into a giant version of himself, making his presence only be felt more and more and leaving Asta clapping, while a prideful Liebe would then prop himself up. Andina left so intimidated that she begins to shake until a voice then yells to stop, and all the water is retracted, but Liebe then looking down, and Asta looks forward to see a girl in glasses. She was covered up by the mist. Liebe returns to his normal size as Asta would then walk up with little Pechika bowing and apologizing. I didn't mean anything bad by it. I'm sorry, I was just testing you. I didn't say something malice, so don't worry. That's why I didn't attack you, said Asta. Surprised by this from the boy, Undine realizes how much more powerful he is. He just didn't look scared because he had no reason to. He understood what was going on, and she said, he's arcane stage for sure. Yeah, he is. What's arcane stage? Asta asked. Lopechka then proceeds to explain the way they measure power in their place, and she also reveals her curse, just as Nero then lands atop Asta's head, but then asking where the hell she has been. Lopechka then remembers something and rounds off as she uses her water magic to monitor the kingdom because she's been a little bit distracted, and she does multiple things at once with water, just as Zerx, Finral, and Mimosa enter the door to see this with Gaja. She's controlling the water everywhere at once, Zerx said. Who the hell are you? Oh, I'm the Queen of the Heart Kingdom. I guess I forgot to say that, huh? Explode was surprised. The four they're just surprised at it's a lot. She doesn't look like a queen at all. She's not acting queen-like. She like a nerd. But her magic and allegiance with the water spirit definitely proves that she is royalty. Alright, come on, let's get you dressed up, said Undine. You have an audience after all. Going to her chambers, Little Pechka would then come back with some royal clothes on and then come out looking more pristine, leaving everyone's jaw dropping, only for her to then trip and fall, rolling onto the floor. This is more fun than I thought, Zerx thought. And this is why I said we shouldn't have done this in person, Gaja said. Helping up the queen, Undine would then be asked by Asta in a more serious manner why he was being tested and what's really going on. Well, even with the spirit guardians and people at stage 0, it's impossible to kill a devil. That's why we need certain people like, for example, Julius Novochrono or your captain Yami Sukahiro, and more recently yourself, you, Asta. Even just your ice magic is very powerful, so you need us to kill devils. Good, we already got one, said Asta. Undine and Lolo were completely last shot by this, but Liu would then say that it didn't really have its grimoire, so it wasn't at full power, but even with that we would have won. I can't believe they're just casually saying that, everyone thought. Well, actually, this sounds more like a serious situation than Melissa said. She said she was going to look for a device that was going to connect them to Julius, because it sounds like a royal decree thing. And while she's looking for, Undine then says, Liebe, was it? Your resistance. Are you aware of how bizarre it is? Again, you got a problem? Calm down, you idiot, Asta said. Yeah, we get it. I made Liebe a spirit. He wasn't a natural one, obviously. Then what is hockey magic? What does hockey actually even mean? Little Pechka asked. Well, I borrowed it from Captain Yami. In his country, they call will or spirit hockey. Spirit magic. And he's a spirit. Pretty cool, right? So that's what that meant for Nota. But he's acting like making a spirit isn't a big deal. Jesus. This is when Mimosa then pulls out the device, and a hologram of Julius is then shown to the queen, and Julius will then say, it's you. Such an honor to finally meet. Same to you, Wizard King Julius. I have a few things to discuss with you. Now we're going to time skip 6 months. We will actually open up on Hodge as Sister Lily opens the door of the orphanage to find a man wheezing out on the floor, looking near death. Master, you know, I'm here. Master, you know, the man whispered. What will the appearance of this man mean for Yuno, and how has the Clover Kingdom grown over this time? Find out in the next part of Black Clover. It's been your boy, Prince of What Ifs, and I am done with this part. See y'all later. Peace. I'm gone.
Yeah, you better listen. I'm bringing heat. You'll be a fan when I start rapping. Way I'll have your fucking head spinning. I'm known as spit vicious. Release bombs and go tick tick. Boom, you blown me that head missing. I'm a phenomenon. Stacking cheese like it's Parmesan. 8 different flows, call me Octomom. I'm moving fast like the Autobahn, and I'm independent, so I'm not your fucking starving.